prior to after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
And shit, it was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny, because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling, for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao.
Yes, Manny, you can't come out of retirement because this guy is so bad. Like, that fired him up a little bit, and then he goes in the ring and he does nothing. He goes in the ring and, like, I thought it was an embarrassing performance from a 30-year-old champion.
Fighters are truly uneasy about Manny Pacquiao's return, because even at 46 years old, he still moves like a man in his prime. Sean Porter, after seeing Manny train and watching how he looked against Barrios, confidently said that Pacquiao hasn't lost a step. His speed, footwork, and intensity remain as sharp as ever. Many believe the legendary version of Pacquiao is still alive, and that is capable of giving elite fighters serious trouble even today.
What do you think about the overall matchup?
Everything, man. I watched him train like last week or the week before, and amazing to see him still move and bounce and do all the same things that he was doing in camp years ago when I was with him. So he's still locked in. He's still him, Crazy, but he is. You know what they say, man. The last thing to go is that power.
Chris Algieri, who shared the ring with Pacquiao when both were at their peak, gives a perspective that carries weight. He says there is something unique about Manny that seems untouched by time. While most fighters slow down as they age, Pacquiao remains a puzzle that even younger and fresh opponents can't easily figure out. Algieri calls him one of the toughest fighters to prepare for: unpredictable, quick, explosive, and non-stop. Age doesn't matter with Pacquiao because he brings a physical and mental edge that no training camp can imitate or prepare for. To Algieri, Pacquiao's comeback isn't just realistic. It's dangerous for anyone who faces him.
To after, obviously. But now that I understand how difficult he is to deal with, there's no one else like him. You can't prepare for him, even at
his age,
even at an elder version of him.
In his bout with Mario Barrios, Pacquiao surprised everyone with how much of his signature style was still present. At 46, many expected to see a faded legend trying to relive the past. Instead, what unfolded was sharp footwork, quick combinations, and smart angles, everything that once made him such a feared champion. What stood out most was how competitive every round was. Even in the frames he didn't win on the cards, he stayed right there, matching the pace. His timing, ring IQ, and conditioning all looked strong. While Barrios was expected to control the fight with his youth, he often ended up responding to Pacquiao rather than dictating. It was clear Pacquiao wasn't just showing up. He was still competing at a serious level.
I think Manny's always been good at that. And my son really pointed it out perfectly. He was still good at it. He was still good at it. I think he was stealing some rounds at the end. Whether he deserved them or he didn't deserve them, whatever. They were close rounds. He might have stole them on the judges' cards. What we shouldn't forget is he's a special guy. And he put a special performance. I never saw calves on the legs of somebody that big. I mean, it's incredible. I thought early on he stumbled a little bit. I thought his legs were stumbling a little bit, like you might see in a 46-year-old, a little bit. But at the end, they got the act together. He used them pretty good. He used them pretty damn good. What I think he also did was maybe a little bit of, I think the word illusion is too powerful, but I'd say a little misleading, where he threw those real fast punches like my son said. They weren't quality punches like they used to be, where there was real impact and real power at the end of them. They were more like just quick punches, and they weren't all being impactful. They weren't all landing clean. Some did, but they weren't all landing clean, and they definitely weren't landing with real power.
Social media star and fighter Salt Papi shared a strong opinion about a possible rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. He said Pacquiao's current shape shows that he's still active, conditioned, and mentally sharp. In contrast, Mayweather has been away from real competition for years. Salt Papi believed that if they were to face each other again, the result would be very different from their 2015 fight. This time, He says Pacquiao's rhythm, activity, and hunger would be too much for Mayweather's aging reflexes. While Mayweather has stayed busy with exhibitions, Salt Papi thinks Pacquiao's genuine return to form makes him a more dangerous fighter today.
Have you spoken to Manny recently? I know you're friends with him.
No, I haven't spoken to him, no.
What would you want to see him do next?
Fight Floyd Mayweather or Gervonta Tank.
You think he beats Tank, near prime Tank Davis?
We'll see. Styles make fights, so we just don't know.
What about Mayweather versus Pacquiao too?
Yeah, that'll be a good fight. Manny is still active. So.
Okay.
Pacquiao showing against Barrios reminded everyone why he's considered a generational talent. Every time Barrios tried to attack, Manny answered with 2 or 3 quick punches. His pace, activity, and footwork were a sharp contrast to Barrios' more cautious, reactive style. What stood out to fans and analysts was how youthful Pacquiao's movement looked. His legs were constantly in motion, creating angles and openings. Many watching questioned the final decision, noting that Pacquiao's aggression and high volume seemed to outweigh Barrios' limited counters. It wasn't just that Pacquiao looked impressive for his age. He looked like he still belonged at the top.
That's not what happened. Barrios was so tentative in this fight. He was essentially standing there for some of the exchanges. Manny Pacquiao came out and did what Manny Pacquiao does. By the way, credit to Manny. At 46, he still had some feet. He was moving, dancing on Mario Barrios. He was throwing combination punches going forward on Mario Barrios. And when he wasn't doing that, he was countering Mario Barrios, who looked like a stick in the mud. He looked like he couldn't even get out of first gear because Manny was hitting with combinations. Were they hurting super bad? Maybe not. Some of them definitely were. Had a mouse under the eye of Mario Barrios, but others were just flurries, and they were keeping Barrios at bay. And when Barrios was throwing 1, Pacquiao was throwing 3. When Barrios would throw out his jab, Manny would counter with his lead right hand, stepping on the inside plane, doing all the old Manny shit. It was pretty cool to see. And honestly, even with the majority draw, it's a win for Manny because damn, if he can do that off a 3-year layoff at 46, that's pretty telling for one, where the sport of boxing is when your world champ can't beat 46-year-old politician Manny Pacquiao, but 2, just how great he was. 8 division world champion, started his career at 106, I think, comes up to 147. What are we talking?
Some skeptics have questioned why Manny is returning, suggesting money could be a major factor. With his legendary resume, there's nothing left for him to prove. As a Hall of Famer, an 8-division champion, and a global icon, Pacquiao could easily stay retired. His choice to step back into the ring has raised eyebrows. Critics argue that at his age the risks are far greater than the rewards, especially with the physical damage boxing brings over time. To them, no amount of pride or legacy is worth it unless there's a huge payday driving the decision.
Manny Pacquiao crazy for coming back and fighting is because they don't understand what's going on in Manny Pacquiao's life. When a fighter is 46 years old, he doesn't just come back to fight a top fighter because he just wants to fight a top fighter. When he's going through that, that's what's brought him to that place in the first place. And that is having what we call bandwidth extension. He's totally scattered his brain and lost so much money over the course of time. And the same thing that happens when you get a paycheck and you start spending, and because you get shiny object syndrome, you want to get the new watch, you want to get the new gear, you want to eat at the restaurant, you want to go spend money. That's shiny object syndrome. And you can't get it under control the same way that Manny Pacquiao did. He couldn't get things under control. So therein lies the situation where all of that money that he's made, hundreds of millions of dollars, just burnt. And now you got to fight. But if you really stop focusing on the symptom and start concentrating on the root of this thing, and the root of this thing is bandwidth, shiny object syndrome, trying to be so relevant in so many different scenarios. You want to train, you want to run this other business, you want to do this, you got this great idea. And it all boils down to the term that I use all the time, and that's compensatory control, laser focus. Get one idea, follow through with that idea. You got to have a plan in order to do it. And that's how you get to from here to here. That's when you're 46, you don't have to fight anymore. And that is my message today. Just understand why you're scattered. understand why you can't get anything going all the way through. You can never finish that thought process and execute the plan, and therefore you continue to find yourself in a situation where you're desperate. You're trying to find a way to get back to where you were, which is even. But if you stay locked in and concentrate on the compensatory control factor of your life, which is doing everything that you think of every single day the exact same way, and I take 1 minute and go to that playlist.
However, Pacquiao has repeatedly denied that money is a reason for his comeback. Over the years, he has built a reputation not just as a fighter but as a humanitarian, using his wealth to fund hospitals and help with disaster relief in the Philippines. He often tells the media that he fights for his people, not for his wallet. According to Manny, his return is fueled by passion, legacy, and the desire to inspire. He wants to show that age means little when the heart and drive remain strong. For him, it's about proving to himself and everyone else that greatness doesn't have an expiration date. With the Barrios fight now behind him, talk has turned to who Pacquiao might face next.
When I became a world champion, then I realized that this is the time that I can help my family. Before that, we don't have food to eat in one day. We just drink a lot of water to survive. And I remember one time, my young brother is 5 years old back then, and he was crying like in the afternoon, 1:30 in the afternoon. He's crying because he's hungry. He's asking for food. We don't eat breakfast. We don't eat lunch. He don't understand what is. When you're telling him no money, we have no money to buy food, and he's crying like, "Mom, I'm hungry." Like he's crying, and I look to my mom and look at his eyes, and the tear flow in his eyes, and then I feel so sad and like. And of course, I'm crying also because hungry. We drink water just to survive. That's our past. So that's why I always told them that, Manny Pacquiao is Manny Pacquiao, but I don't have the right to become arrogant, to become boastful. I want to stay humble because we've been there. We came from nothing.
Rolly Romero has become the front runner, especially after training clips came out showing he is already getting ready for the fight. His camp has shown excitement for this matchup, and Romero himself has said he would be honored to be in the ring with a legend like Manny. At the same time, names such as Gervin Davis are also mentioned, but that fight still looks uncertain because of timing and promotion issues.
No. Tira los golpes largos, men. Porque si da paso ya te pega mucho. No, quédate atrás, men. No te tiras. Ahí, quédate ahí parado ahí donde tú estabas.
Boxing Doctor News, Manny Pacquiao's next potential opponent is Rolly Romero, the WBA welterweight champ. Romero is under the same promotion, has the belt, and can sell a fight. He's eager to face Pacquiao, saying, "A Hall of Famer on my resume. Who wouldn't want that?" After Pacquiao's draw with Barrios, his advisor sees Romero as the favorite for Manny's next bout. Romero has knockout power and isn't afraid to bring the heat. Is this the explosive matchup fans have been waiting for?
Some fans still call for a rematch between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, believing Floyd would win once more. What they ignore is that Mayweather is older than Pacquiao and far less active. He has not faced a real opponent in years, focusing instead on low-risk, high-reward exhibitions. Meeting Pacquiao now would not be the same fight as it was in 2015. Back then, Floyd faced a Manny who was coming off a shoulder injury and was out of rhythm. This time, he would be in front of Pacquiao with speed, purpose, and nothing to lose, a fight Mayweather would probably stay away from.
And we will see what transpires, but all these people out here saying that the fight was fixed, a lot of these people were not fans of Manny Pacquiao. When that whole Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao situation was going on with the steroids allegation, the needles, and the back and forth between the Pac-Tars, as they called them back in the day, and the Mayweather fans. A lot of those fans still hold grudges towards Manny Pacquiao. I guarantee if that was Mayweather that was fighting Mario Barrios coming into that fight after a long layoff, all the people would have said Mayweather had a chance, Mayweather gonna win, become champion once again. Mayweather's levels above Mario Barrios even at that age. And Mayweather's actually older than Pacquiao. But those same people wasn't giving Pacquiao no chance to defeat an average fighter in Mario Barrios. And that's what I base my pick on, that Mario Barrios is average. Some people that's Tank Davis fans, they want to blow up Mario Barrios into something that he really ain't. Because really before the Tank fight, we talking about Mario Barrios right now. Before the Tank fight, he took on a guy by the name of Ahmad Daliev. He lost that fight. And he took a beating from that fight. And Mario Barrios really ain't never been the same from that fight. Go back and watch that fight. That was the fight before the Tank fight. Now, a lot of people say, well, he was looking good in the Tank fight. He was winning early in the Tank fight. That was a fact of Tank going up in weight, fighting a much bigger guy on fight night. Look at the difference in size. Not only we ain't just looking at the height, but he was just a much...
Many boxing analysts believe Pacquiao did more than enough to earn the win. In his fight with Barrios, he stayed on the front foot, setting the pace and keeping the exchanges active. Barrios, on the other hand, looked passive for long stretches, mostly circling or standing still and failing to mount meaningful offense. Experts who reviewed the fight round by round noted several frames that went to Barrios despite his lack of activity. Pacquiao's control of distance, high punch output, and command of the fight's tempo showed a very different picture than what the final scorecards reflected. For them, Manny's return was not just impressive, it could have been a winning performance.
With the draw?
No.
Because, like...
Weird rounds, hard to score.
Yeah, Pacquiao did better than I thought he did. And that's like, we get into that weird territory in boxing where you start grading on a curve. That's not how boxing works. And I was like, oh, Pacquiao's doing better. He's probably winning. Oh, he won. But no, he probably didn't. And a draw is he's probably lucky to get a draw.
Yeah, as I was watching it and scoring it, and I was in the live chat with people, and there was just so many rabid Pacquiao fans that were like, every time he did anything, first of all, anytime he did anything in the arena, the place went absolutely bonkers, like it was going to tear down. He probably fought 50 to 60 seconds a round. He did not do much. He didn't need to, because Barrios didn't step on the gas pedal at all at any point. He was so listless and just kind of like ho-humming through it. So Pacquiao was able to steal moments, and he did a really good job of stealing the end of rounds and making an exclamation point. And also, we saw flashes of the Manny of old when he would have that little like the flourishing signature in the end of something. He'd make that little movement, bang, he'd pop that left hand, he'd fly out, boom, 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 boom. He'd make those little moves, he'd do the fancy feet, and you would be like, but really nothing happened. He didn't land a lot of punches. Like, it wasn't like anything really effective, but it got everybody emotional, it got everybody, and whereas Barrios was the exact opposite. Everything he did was so workmanlike. He has zero charisma, he has no sell on anything he does. He just lacked passion. I know he's Aztec warrior, but where was the passion? Where was the exchanging? Where was the biting down on my mouthpiece and going for it? So there was a lot of opportunities based on how both guys fought for Manny to actually steal rounds, because Mario wasn't selling it. Pacquiao was. The crowd was behind him. But yes, when you do it, you're looking at it almost like you're almost comparing Pacquiao to Pacquiao. You're being like, oh, he fought really good for a 46-year-old. He didn't fight really good for a 12-round main event champion. He fought really good for a 46-year-old Pacquiao. So you get that idea in your head like, oh man, he's doing so good. But is he really? Or are you just voting for the guy that you like better?
Like, nostalgia's a hell of a joke, and we were all high on Saturday.
What impressed many fans and critics was a conviction Pacquiao brought to the fight. There was no hesitation, no doubt, only full belief in his craft. He moved with purpose, threw punches with confidence, and controlled distance like an experienced technician. At no stage did he seem like someone holding on to past glory. Instead, he fought with purpose, as if there was still something to prove. Sadly, that effort was not fully shown on the scorecards. Even though he earned the respect of the crowd, the judges did not reward what was clearly a close and brave return to the ring.
The most surprising result from last night was 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao going 12 rounds and drawing against the WBC champion. And the craziest part of all of it might be that Manny Pacquiao might have been robbed. I genuinely think that Manny Pacquiao might have won the fight. He looked great, he looked sharp, especially for being a 46-year-old. And this is why I told you guys that Manny Pacquiao's mentality is different. His passion for boxing is unmatched. This is why he's one of the GOATs. From what we saw, we can see that he really put in a lot of work, because in his last fight, I believe it was 5 years ago, he didn't look good. He looked slow. He looked like a 46-year-old, or a 40-year-old, because he was 40 years old back then. But he didn't look good, but he looked great. I feel if the rematch happens against Mayweather, which would honestly be an amazing fight, because they're both old now, so they don't have any excuse of being like, oh, this guy's past his prime. They're both past their prime. They're both old. But if it happens, I think Manny Pacquiao wins. Floyd Mayweather hasn't fought, and he doesn't have the same amount of passion. He fought Logan Paul and Deji, but this guy fought an actual WBC champion and looked great and could have possibly beat him. He said he's not going to stop boxing, and he honestly has no reason why to stop. Now, obviously, I don't think he's like a top 10 boxer right now, or like currently, whatever, but he can hold his own. If he went against someone like Gervonta Davis, yes, he'd get murdered, but there's a lot of fighters that he can go toe-to-toe with right now. I don't know, though. Fall for Sport content, we're about to hit 1,000.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next time.